How many professional fighters do I train? I probably train about 12. Who's my best fighter? Probably my little girl. She's 3. Her name's Takaya, and she fights like anything. She's probably my best fighter by far. When I'm going to get out of the game, when I probably get put 6 foot under, because I'm going to be in boxing, because boxing's in my blood, boxing's in my life. I don't know how to do anything else. Well, there's a few things I know how to do, but regarding as a hobby, as a job, boxing is something that doesn't. You don't go to boxing. Boxing is something that calls you. Because if you're in a boxing gym and you box and you say, right, then I'm packing up, you can guarantee you within 3-4 months it's calling you back. It's a drug in its own little way. And people that have packed up from boxing and gone back to boxing will probably understand what I'm saying. Because if you stop, it always seems to find your way back into a gym somewhere or another. You know, unless you're not really in love with the sport, or you're pretending. Because if you're pretending, you won't go back, because it's not something that's in your blood anyway. You know? My favourite fighter, I've got a couple, and I'd say all-time favourite has got to be Sugar Ray Robinson. For me, he's the epitome of the boxing, and being a stylist, he comes before all of them. Ali, Robbins, Sugar Ray Leonard, Floyd, all them fighters. He was the first man to put a bit of razzle-dazzle into boxing. I'll tell you how I started. I started on the park when I was about 9 with a kid called Colin Cousins. Went to the park. It was summer. I think somebody must have got a pair of boxing gloves for Christmas or something. All made a circle, 1 glove each, and just throwing shots at each other. And so whoever was the fighter at the time, and then stopped and said, "Who wants to go?" And I'll have a go. I don't know why, because it's probably my calling that day, you know what I mean? So I put the glove on, standing there, boom, like that, boom, like that. Thought I'd better start throwing some shots, but I was like, bang, bang, bang. I looked at his mouth and you could just see blood in his teeth and his lips where he's cut his lips. Took the glove off, sprinted back home, sat on a settee. I thought the police was going to get me. It's gospel, listen, I'm sitting there about 9 thinking to myself, oh shit, it's going to. So the next day I went to the park and I was going, yeah man, he's a bad boy, he can fight. There was a right lump there, I'll fight. I went, no, I'm not fighting anymore. He begged me to fight me. So the same thing happened again. I went, bang, 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 took the glove off, I went, I'll fight no more. But that was my first experience. Everybody said, I'll go to the Merlin, So I went to the Merlin and I was there for probably about 3-4 months, but it wasn't really teaching me anything. So then I started again when I was about 14 down at the Barracks, which is now Showcase Cinema. And what did I do? Yeah, so we started fighting there. And I think I had my first amateur fight when I was about 15 or 16, just turned 16. But I knew, obviously they knew I had something at the time, because obviously when you're at that age, you don't know how good you are or bad you are. You know how bad you are because you're getting your face smashed in. But I was sparring with a professional. Remember, I'd not had a fight yet, and I sparred with a professional. I had about 6 or 7 fights, and I'm thinking to myself, I remember the first day I had to spar with him. They says, oh, come down Sunday morning, you can come and spar with Clive Beardsley. And I was like, Sunday morning, this is on a Wednesday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I'm shitting myself, thinking to myself, I'm going to go and spar with a pro. And so when I actually got in the ring and sparred with him, it wasn't as bad as I thought, until I got caught with a big left hook, and then I stopped the sparring. But apart from that, it was quite. That was my first introduction into boxing, really. As an amateur, I was ranked number 1 in Britain as a super heavyweight. I think it was 1990. I was ranked number one in Britain. Got to the MMA semi-finals, got disqualified for taking a little nibble at somebody's shoulder in the semi-finals of the ABA. So, you know, I'm probably the first one to get actually disqualified, because ever since then, everybody's been biting everybody, hasn't they? Mike Tyson, Chisora, the footballer, Suarez, got them the other day. I think they've all watched my videos. But regarding amateur boxing, I think I had about 40, 44, 45 amateur fights, probably won about 39, 40, something like that. Probably knocked about 20 out in the first round, something like that. But as an amateur, as a heavyweight and a super heavyweight, there was nobody to spar with, so I'm sparring with all lighter kids all the time, so you're not really getting the real quality of the big men to spar with, so, you know, I didn't get any fights anyway. The only time I would fight, it was in the ABAs. It's a little bit different now, because you've got Class A, Class B, you know, under 10s, under 20s, then you've got the full ABAs. When I was fighting, there was one championships, that was the ABAs. You had 4 fights, 1 fight, your whole had to go in the same championship, so it's kind of, how can I say? That's the only time I boxed. It's the only time I boxed. I'd box, and then if I lost, I'd go and play American football. But if I won, I'd just see how far I could get. But I wasn't really getting, there was no real, how can I say, fights for me, unless it was championships. And the only time I'd box, and nobody had boxed me, because obviously I was in the top, of my game as an amateur. But I stayed, for me, I think I stayed amateur too long. But with amateur boxing, you've always got the amateurs going, oh, win the ABAs, they'll get you more money as a pro. Win the ABAs, you get more money as a pro. It's just a carrot that most amateur clubs dangle to you, just to keep you boxing amateur. But I wish I'd have turned pro a lot earlier, probably 2 years earlier. I did go to turn pro 2 years earlier, but the managers that were around at the time, I didn't trust them, because there was other, my cousins, and you know, there was like Peter Reid, there was Clive Ferron, and I seen what happened to them and how they were treated as a professional. That's the reason why I stayed amateur a lot longer, because I didn't really want to go and fight for people that only wanted to take my money. It wasn't about money as a professional, it was about titles, and that's what it should be. Because if you're going to do a job you love doing. It's not about the money then. If you love doing the job, you'll enjoy doing the job. You can get as paid as much as you like. If you don't do the job, if you don't like the job's going to be horrible. So for me, as a professional, I went up to Sheffield and sparred with a kid called Johnny Nelson, which is a very, very good friend of mine. I'd call him in boxing brother. So it was very, very interesting when I first went up there. I went up there with a kid, with my trainer, my amateur coach called Dave Randall. From the morning, no Dave. And me and him walked in the gym, and I'm sitting there waiting for Johnny. I remember Johnny walking in this long trench coat and a big bag, and Brendan Ingles standing there. I said, Johnny, I've got someone for you to spar with. And he looked at me and went, can he fight? And just walked off. And I'm thinking, yeah, you'll find out if I can fight or not. You'll soon find out. So we got in the ring, and I'm telling you, I didn't hit him with a handful I couldn't have hit him with a handful of rice. He was slipping, rolling, whoop. I thought that octopus was bad, but Johnny Nelson's 10 times as worse than him. And I thought to myself, with my aggressive style, if I can take a little bit of that elusiveness from them, it's going to make me a bit more of a full package. So that's the reason why I turned pro. The problem with turning pro up there is that if I had 7 fights in 3 years, which is absolutely disgusting. And one of them kids I boxed 3 times. And one of them I boxed twice. God bless his soul. One of them was Michael Murray, he's not with us anymore. Boxed him 3 times, actually boxed him as an amateur as well. So, problem was that I boxed a kid called Michael Murray, who was ranked the most improved heavyweight in Europe, and I boxed him for an British title, the Eliminator. In my 5th fight, I boxed him as a 10-rounder at Mansfield Leisure Centre for English in the Eliminator, and I stopped him in the 8th round. So ever since then, I got put in that bracket. Who needs him? Understand? Nobody needs me, because they don't have to fight me. So. And plus, with Naz turning pro at the time, and Brendan moving Naz from that promoter to that promoter to that promoter, they've all said, right then, none of the Ingle fighters are getting any work, because that promoter's not going to use him. That promoter's, because he's moved him from too many different promoters. So I'm saying, well, you know, if I'm employing somebody to do a job for me, that's getting me fights, and he's not getting me any fights, I'm leaving. It's Christmas coming, I've got kids, and they need clothes, they need bits and and I'm not getting any work. I'm just up there for a whole year without getting a fight. Training every day, not doing anything, wasting my time. So then I went to see Frank Warren. I had the opportunity to either go to Frank Warren, Barry Earn, Mickey Duff, Frank Maloney. So I had all them choices. But my thing was, I need to go to somewhere where he hasn't got an heavyweight. And the other person didn't have a heavyweight, and that was Frank Warren. So I went to Frank Warren and got a sorted out a 2-year contract, and I had 6 fights guaranteed a year, which with the increase in wages as you go along, which for me was perfect. So that's where my career started, to be honest, as a boxing regular. Moved to London for a year, trained down there, boxed, and basically just trained in the gym. The only downfall for that was that I was training in the gym without a trainer, really, because the trainer I was using was shit, to be honest. It was crap. But it was Frank Warren's trainer, so I was kind of stuck. But really, what I should have done was get rid of him. That's what I should have done. I was thought, get the fight, then get rid of him. Win the title, and then get rid of him. But, you know, lost the title, got stopped in the 4th round. After winning all 4 rounds up until then. But, you know, if you don't go in there with a level head, you go in there too revved up and too hyped up, you're not going to go in there as a normal fighter. You're going to go there. It wasn't Clifton Mitchell in that ring that day. It was some madman. Understand? Because if I boxed him 100 times, that would have probably the only time he beat me. And take nothing away from him. Another fighter that I've boxed that's died. So, you know, if I'd have won the British title, but that means I would have been dead. Doesn't know, does it? You don't know, do you? So it's one of them things. You know, your life runs before you. So if I was, my thing is this anyway. If I was meant to win that fight, I'm a big believer in fate. And if I was meant to win it, I would have won it because I hate the kid with enough shots. So I wasn't meant to win it. But there's regarding my second coming, and that is as a trainer, firstly, and a promoter. I think all I want to do as a boxing manager and a boxing trainer is do the best I can do for my fighters. At the end of the day, you know, I only can try my best. At the end of the day, I ain't going to do the fighting. The fighters have to do the fighting. And if they're not doing their best, that's nothing to do with me. All I can do is try and give them everything I can do. As long as I know my heart's clean and I've done the best I can for them, then I know that whatever happens, I ain't going to put them in a fight I don't think they can win, and I ain't going to go and take the money, because to earn what, 300-400 quid or 500 quid or even $1,000 or $2,000, for me it's not worth it putting somebody at risk, because it's not about that. My toughest fight, I think my toughest fight was probably myself. Not really. No, I think a kid called Levi Billups, he was probably one of my toughest fights. Listen, Bruce, that I put him over in the 1st round, put him over in the 2nd round, and put him over in the 3rd round. So every time I put him over, I went for it. I thought, I'm going to take this kid out here, I'm going to get him out, And guess what? He survived and survived and survived. Round 4, he started talking to me, started going, "Tired now, are you? Tired, boy?" Started throwing some shots back, and then I thought, listen, I must get on my bike now. So I started moving around the ring, left to right, right to left. But he was definitely in my toughest fight. The kid boxed. He's boxed Lennox Lewis, went 10 rounds with Lennox, boxed Bone Crusher Smith, I think, boxed. He boxed some really good fighters, so he was a high calibre fighter. So it was a really good win for me on my record. The funniest thing that happened to me in the gym, Tony Shields, the Octopus. Let me tell you a little bit about him. Tony, I was at my last promotion was in Leicester at Whittick, and we got asked to do Tony's corner, and he said to me, "Yeah, all right, bro. Can you do my hands for me, mate?" I went, "No problem." Started doing his hands, and he picked his rucksack up. I said, "Where you going?" I went, "Back in a minute," and runs off with his rucksack. I thought, where's he going? Anyway, comes back, he was like, right. I said to him, "Okay, we'll just warm you on the pads." He went, my style's a bit weird, you know, not many people understand it. So I went, "Okay, off you go." So I got the pads, and he's like this. was honest with the pants. So, I'm thinking, what the hell is this? So I thought, my best thing to do is this. I ain't even going to get in the ring with him. I'm going to put Mike in the ring with him. I'm going to sit outside the ring just in case it's an absolute flop. Alright? So when he got in the ring, first thing he did, I went, right, I'm sitting there still, he comes out and he goes, ice. Ding ding, round one, most people come out ice and ice. He comes out and he does ice. I'm thinking, what the hell is going on here? But he's boxing on the 12th, which is in next week Sunday, probably about 9 days' time. I've got big hopes for the kid, as long as he digs in it. He's only been with us 2 weeks, so he's improved as a person mentally, physically, all round he's improved, apart from his dress sense. But that's about the only thing that has improved. He's got bad dress sense and bad BO. And he's got a false tooth, by the way. He likes spitting it out before he puts it in.